Yeah, there we go. We continue from where we stopped. It's the WAEC is a 2023 WAEC for the math exam questions. The next one is number 29. Ado's scores in 5 subjects in an examination are 85, 84, 83, 86, and 87. Calculate the standard deviation. First of all, I need to find the mean. Mean is summation fx over summation f, and that's equal to 85 plus 84 plus 83 plus 86 plus 87 all over 5, and that's equal to, let's check that, 85 plus 84, 85 plus 84 plus 83 plus 83 plus 86 plus 87, and that's equal to 425 divided by 5. That's 85. So the mean is 85. The mean is 85. Now standard deviation SD is given by the square root of summation x minus mean all squared over summation f. That's the square root of summation x minus mean all squared over summation f. That simply means we have to make a table to have these values. Let's do that here. These are the these are the values. This will be the scores. 85, let me even start from the lowest. 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 87, and then we have x minus mean. We make a column for x minus mean. That's going to be 83 minus the mean is 85, and that's supposed to be x minus mean. Yeah, x minus mean here will be 83 minus 85 minus 2. This will be 84 minus 85 minus 1. 85 minus 85 0, 6 minus 85 1, 87 minus 85 2. Now x minus mean all squared. X minus mean squared will be minus 2 squared, that's 4, minus 1 squared 1, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. And now we have all we need for. Okay, so let me just find summation x minus mean all squared, and that's the sum of all the entries on this column, and that will be 4 plus 1 5, 4 plus 1 5 plus 0 5 plus 1 6 plus 4 10. So summation x minus mean squared is 10. So that means standard deviation is equal to square root of 10 over 5, which simply means root 2, and that's the standard deviation. Standard deviation is square root of 2, and let's see, I think they found the value of that, which is 1.41 approximately, and that's approximately 1.414, which is approximately 1.4, and the correct option is A. And we go straight to the next, which is number 30. Differentiate f of x. Differentiate f of x equals 1 over 1 minus x squared raised to power 5 with respect to x. To do this, I can just say let u be 1 minus x squared. That means f of x is going to be the same as f of x will be the same as 1 over u raised to power 5, which is the same as u raised to power minus 5. So that simply means f prime of x, which is also that if you don't want to get confused, you can make this f of x y. It's okay, let me even leave it. You can make the f of x y because we are used to y, so you don't get confused. Let y change the f of x to y is the same. Let y be 1 over 1 minus x squared raised to power 5. Now let u be 1 minus x squared. That simply means y is equal to 1 over u raised to power 5, which is the same as u raised to power minus 5. So dy du, while u raised to power minus 5, dy du will be minus 5u raised to power minus 6, and du dx is equal to du dx, we are differentiating 1 minus x squared, that's minus 2x, and that simply means dy dx will be equal to dy du times du dx, which is equal to dy du is minus 5u raised to power minus 6, so that's minus 5u raised to power minus 6 times du dx is minus 2x times minus 2x, and that's equal to 10x u raised to power minus 6. Minus 5 times minus 2 is plus 10, so you have 10x u raised to power minus 6, which is the same as, that simply means dy dx equals 10x, u is 1 minus x squared raised to power minus 6, and if you like you can write that as dy dx equals 10x over 1 minus x squared raised to power 6. And that's that. Very, very simply. We go straight to the next, which is number 31. The correct option to that, by the way, to number 30 is 10x over 1 minus x squared raised to power 6. That's A. Now to the next one, which is number 31. Number 31 says, if x and y are two independent events such that the probability of x is 1 over 8 and the probability of x union y, that simply means the probability of x or y is 5 over 8. Find the probability of y. First of all, we know that the probability of the union of two events is given by, here the events are x and y, so that would be p of x, probability of x plus probability of y, minus the probability of x intersection y. Now this one will be 0 if the two events are mutually exclusive, but they didn't tell us that they are mutually exclusive. They just said the two, we're not told that the events are mutually exclusive, we're just told that they are independent. So that's p of x union y. If the events are independent, p of x intersection y will be the same as the product of probability of x and probability of y. So I already know that p of x intersection y. So now this is how I want to go. Let me even go this way. Now p of x union y is 5 over 8. That means 5 over 8 equals p of x is 1 over 8 plus p of y, we don't know that, minus p of x intersection y. Okay, now what does that mean? I want to make, let's see, this simply means 5 over 8 minus 1 over 8 equals p probability of y minus probability of x intersection y. So that means probability of y minus probability of x intersection y is equal to 4 over 8. It's 5 over 8 minus 1 over 8 is 4 over 8, which is, and that simply means probability of y minus probability of x intersection y is 1 over 2. So if we check the next one, and that simply means probability of y, I'm making probability of y the subject, is 1 over 2 plus probability of x intersection y. Now if the two events are independent, probability of x intersection y will be the same as probability of x times probability of y. That simply means probability of y is probability of x intersection y divided by probability of x, and that's the same as probability of x intersection y divided by probability of x is 1 over 8, so that's divided by 1 over 8, and that simply means probability of y equals 8. Of course, divided by 1 over 8 means times 8 over 1, so probability of y will be equal to 8 times probability of x intersection y. So I can say that this represents probability of y and this also represents probability of y. That means we can equate the two. So I can say half plus, I can say 1 over 2 plus probability of x intersection y is equal to 8 times probability of x intersection y. And what does this mean? That's the same as saying 1 over 2 equals 8 times probability of x intersection y minus probability of x intersection y, which means 1 over 2 equals 7 times probability of x intersection y. And that means probability of x intersection y, when you divide both sides by 7, is going to be 1 over 14. So if that's 1 over 14, then we can find the probability of y. Probability of y is therefore equal to probability of y, which is p of x intersection y over p of x intersection y. Probability of x and y happening, or the events x and y occurring, is going to be probability of x intersection y. We have found out to be 1 over 14 divided by 1 over 8, and that's the same as saying 1 over 14 times 8 over 1. Just showing some very elementary math there. And that means 2 here 4, 2 here 7, and that's 4 over 7. So the probability of y is 4 over 7, and the correct option is A. So we go straight to the next, which is number 32. Let's see that up here. 32. The table shows the operation asterisk on the set which has elements x, y, z, w. Find the identity element. How do you find the identity element? Okay, I think I want to put the table down here. X, y, z, w, and this is x, y, z, w. Then you have lines this way. Now the first question is find, this is the operation. The first question is find the identity element. We know that okay, let me complete the table. Y, z, x, w, z, w, y, x, x, y, z, w, and then w, x, w, z. Now find the identity element. The identity element is the element that combines with every other element to give that other element. So the element that you combine with x to get the same x, and combine with y to get the same y, and combine with z to get the same z, and combine with w to get the same w, is the identity element. So let's check that from the table. What do we combine with x to give us x? We'll see that x combination x gives us y. That's not x. It is x combination z that gives us x. Let's go again to y. It must be the same for all of them. Now, what do we combine with y to get y? Y combination z gives us y. Let's check the next. Z combination z gives us z. That's, yeah, it's true for that too. Now, what do we combine with w to get the same w? W combination z gives us w. So z is the identity element, because any element we combine with z will give us the same, will give us that element back. So the correct option is C. Now we go straight to the next, which is identity. By the way, E is the standard notation for identity, so E equals Z. Now we go straight to the next, which is 33. Find the radius of the circle 2x squared plus 2y squared minus 4x plus 5y plus 1 equals 0. Okay, first of all, we can divide through by 2 just to make the coefficient of x squared and y squared, the coefficients of x squared and y squared once. So when we divide through by 2, we're going to have x squared plus y squared minus 2x plus 5 over 2y plus 1 over 2 equals 0. I've just divided through by 2 so that the coefficient of x squared will be 1 and the coefficient of y squared will also be 1. So that's it. Now what do? We're using the idea of completing the square to find the radius. So what does this mean? This simply means x squared minus 2x plus y squared plus 5 over 2y equals, I'm taking 1 over 2 to the right hand side, and it becomes minus 1 over 2. Now I want to complete the square for x squared minus 2x. That simply means x minus, just write x and find half of the coefficient of x, that's minus 1, and you put a square there, so that's x minus 1, that's the square of x minus 1 minus the square of this half of the coefficient of x, so the square of minus 1 is 1. So that's minus 1. We do the same for y, plus y, you go this way, y, what is half the coefficient of y? That's half of 5 over 2, which is 1 over 2 times 5 over 2, and that's 5 over 4. That's plus 5 over 4. And you say all squared minus the square of that half the coefficient of x. Half the coefficient of x is 5 over 4, and its square, the square of that is 25 over 16. Equals minus 1 over 2. And then we can have, and that's the same as x minus 1 squared plus y plus 5 over 4 squared. Now minus 1 minus 25 over 16 is the same as minus 41 over 16. Or maybe you would just like to write it this way, equals, I'm taking minus 1 and minus 25 over 16 to the right hand side, and it becomes minus 1 over 2 plus 1 plus 25 over 16. So x minus 1 whole squared plus y plus 5 over 4 whole squared equals minus 1 over 2 plus 1 plus 25 over 16. And what does that give us? That means x minus 1 squared plus y plus 5 over 4 squared equals, what does this give us? Let me just do a rough. The LCM is 16, and 16 is 8 times minus 1 minus 8 plus 1. This is 1 over 1. 1 is 16 is 16 times 1, 16 plus 16 is 16 is 1 times 25, 25. Minus 8 plus 16 is 8 plus 25. That's 33 over 16. So that means we have 33 over 16 on the right hand side. And how do we now? What's the radius? We know that the general form of the equation of a circle is the same as x minus a squared plus y minus b squared equals r squared, where AB represents the center of a circle and r is the radius, and that r is what we are finding. So I want to write the equation of the circle in the general form. So that means I can write it as x minus 1 squared plus y plus 5 over 4 all squared equals 33 over 16 is the same as the square of root 33 over 16. I think I have to move that back in the 2. Or let me even rewrite it. Let me rewrite that for space. X minus 1 squared plus y plus 5 over 4 squared equals, now I want to write 33 over 16 as a square, and that's the same as the square root of the square root of 33 over 16. So now that simply means the radius of the circle is root 33 over 16, and that is same as root 33 over 4. And the correct option is D. That's it. Very, very simply. Straight we move to the next, which is number 34. Evaluate the integral of 2x plus 1, the cube of 2x plus 1 with respect to x. That's simply the same as, what do we do here? Let me just say let u be equal to 2x plus 1. That means du dx is 2, which means dx is du over 2. Now I can write the integral of the cube of 2x plus 1 with respect to x as, I can write it in this form now, the integral of u raised to power 3 dot, I know that dx is du over 2. This is the same as saying 1 over 2 multiplied by the integral of u raised to power 3 with respect to u, which simply means 1 over 2 times u raised to power 4 over 4 plus c, which simply means 1 over 8 u raised to power 4 plus c, and that's the same as 1 over 8. What is u? U is 2x plus 1, so that's 1 over 8 into bracket 2x plus 1 raised to power 4 plus c, and that's the answer, very, very simply. And the correct option is 1 over 8 2x plus 1 raised to power 4 plus c. Okay, at times they use k to represent the constant, and the correct option is D. We go straight to the next, which is number 35. Okay, I think I want to stop there and then come back. Don't want it to be too long, so we continue from there in the next. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next. Bye bye.